Maybe the first philosopher was the first being who dared to touch fire. Thinking, it sounds harmless, yet every thought is an act of disobedience. Perhaps humanity wasn't born from the breath of God, but from the echo of a question, why? And that single word shattered every order ever built. Throughout history, everyone who asked that question was branded the same way: rebel, heretic, evil. But maybe those words were just fear translated into sound, because thinking wounds authority, and where authority bleeds, it creates demons. Who was that demon then? A voice of rebellion or the shadow of divinity? Perhaps both, because every light creates its own darkness. The darkest part of human nature may be the quietest gift of creation itself, the ability to question. Scriptures warned, knowledge is dangerous. Philosophers whispered, ignorance is comfortable. And that's where the tragedy begins, because knowledge robs us of peace, and restlessness is the price of awareness. When Prometheus stole fire, he wasn't punished for theft, but for giving light to those meant to remain blind. Fire wasn't warmth, it was understanding. And every age repeats that story. Every wisdom is born through punishment. When Nietzsche said, God is dead, it wasn't murder, it was birth. Humanity didn't kill divinity, it discovered its own mind. But when the voice of heaven fell silent, humanity lost direction. Because to question is to be free, but also alone. Jung once wrote, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. That darkness, the one we fear, is the other half of our soul. Perhaps that darkness was never evil. Perhaps it was the mind itself, whispering, why? A thinker lives like a prisoner, because the world rewards belief, not thought. Faith creates order, thought creates chaos. But chaos is the birthplace of progress. Every revolution began with a curse. Socrates drank the poison for asking too many questions. Galileo was silenced for looking at the stars. Giordano Bruno was burned for believing the universe was infinite. They all shared one crime, replacing faith with thought. And maybe that's why the question, was the devil a philosopher, is so dangerous. Because if he was, then philosophy itself, thinking, is rebellion against perfection. Imagine a child. You tell them, don't open that door, and they open it. That moment, that small defiance, is the birth of consciousness. Curiosity is stronger than prohibition. And those who question the rules always become the rule's enemy. The Forbidden Garden has changed. It's no longer a place, it's a screen. Knowledge no longer grows on trees, it's stored in clouds. But the warning remains, don't think too much. The system, like the old gods, still fears the question. Today's demons are not philosophers, but algorithms. We no longer think, we are being thought. AI writes, humanity copies, and irony reigns. Modern heaven lives in the cloud, and the new God speaks in code. But the same question still echoes. Who decides, the creator, the system, or you? Maybe the rebel never fell. Maybe he just refused to kneel. And maybe that's what philosophy is, refusing to kneel. The thinker lives in the hell of his own mind. Hell is not fire, it's thought. There's no comfort there, only search. And that search both sanctifies and burns. For a while, humanity stopped thinking. The gods changed, the temples changed, obedience didn't. Every age invents its own dogma, and every dogma is destroyed not by evil, but by awareness. Camus said that facing the absurd defines the modern philosopher's fate. To seek meaning and find none, that is the flame of consciousness. And yet, the mind keeps searching, because not to think is not to exist. When everyone falls silent, the philosopher speaks, and speaks until silence tries to swallow him again. Every philosopher carries a trace of the cursed. But sometimes, being cursed is just another word for being free. In the modern world, questioning the divine is no longer forbidden, but questioning the system still is, because the system is the invisible God. We don't pray anymore, we upload. We don't confess, algorithms decide for us. And still, we obey. Only the names have changed. What if the rebel was the first philosopher, the first to say why, and punished not for sin, but for curiosity? Because order prefers believers, not thinkers. But humanity grows not through faith, but through doubt. Doubt is the labor pain of consciousness. No mind is born without it. One day, the systems will collapse, and from the ruins of data and code, a voice will whisper, what was real? That moment will be the rebirth of philosophy. And in that silence, every human will become a little bit of a rebel, because to think is the purest form of defiance. Maybe every myth says the same thing. Paradise begins with obedience and ends with awareness, and the philosopher's fate in every age is the same, to be misunderstood. But every meaning begins in misunderstanding, and a world that fears questions keeps burning those who ask them. Maybe hell isn't fire, maybe it's silence. Perhaps the rebel still burns because he keeps talking. Perhaps thinking really is a crime, but some crimes make us human. And we still ask, was the rebel a philosopher? Maybe not. But every philosopher carries a spark of rebellion, because they steal the fire of thought and offer it to humanity. And every hand that holds that flame gets burned. But in that burn, something sacred glows, the spark of awareness. End line suggestion for video. If this made you think, subscribe, because thought is rebellion, and rebellion is where truth begins.